I still remember the exact moment. Everything exploded. I've been gone 18 months, Afghanistan dust, heat, and the kind of exhaustion that settles in your bones. When the plane finally touched down in Texas, all I wanted was the smell of cedar and creek water, the low rumble of Roosevelt the Bull, and the quiet of Stone Creek Ranch. Instead, I crested the last hill and found a gleaming white Mercedes blocking my own gate, hazard lights blinking like it owned the place. A woman I'd never met stood outside it, phone pressed to her ear, designer sunglasses reflecting the afternoon sun. She spotted my dusty pickup, the duffel in the bed, the fresh haircut that screamed military, and her mouth twisted into the kind of smile people wear when they think they've already won. "You're trespassing," she called out, loud enough for the 911 dispatcher to hear. "This is private community property. Step away from the gate." I killed the engine, stepped out slow, boots still carrying Kandahar sand, and felt 3 generations of my family rise up behind me. My grandfather's gate, my father's cattle, my ranch. "Ma'am," I said, pulling the original 1952 deed from my glove box, the one with the raised seal and my grandfather's careful signature. "You might want to double-check whose property you're standing on." She didn't. She just kept smiling while the sirens grew louder. 5 minutes later, 2 sheriff's deputies rolled up, lights flashing across the live oaks. I handed over the deed, the tax records, the survey pins my grandfather drove himself. The older deputy, Tom Bradley, who'd known my dad since high school, read through it all, scratched his head, and turned to the woman in the Mercedes. "Mrs. Whitfield," he said, tipping his hat, "this here's Stone family land. Been that way since before your subdivision was even a gleam in some developer's eye. Matter of fact, looks like your fancy entrance sign, those stone pillars, the community mailbox kiosk, all of it sits about 15 feet on a Mr. Stone's property." Her smile froze. And Tom continued, flipping another page. "The county never actually transferred those 25 acres in '87. Clerical error. Means the HOA y'all formed never had legal standing. Not then, not now. You could have heard a grasshopper fart." The younger deputy was already on his radio, confirming with the tax assessor. 30 seconds later, he got the nod. The HOA that had been terrorizing half the county with fines, complaints, and petty rules for 3 years dissolved right there on the spot. Poof, like it had never existed. No vote, no appeal, no second chances. Just a county official voiding every document they'd ever filed because they were built on land they never legally owned. Karen Whitfield, 45, former farmer rep, self-appointed president of nothing, stood in her pressed white pants while her entire world collapsed in the space of a single phone call. The Mercedes suddenly looked ridiculous parked on my dirt road. She opened her mouth, closed it, then opened it again. This is impossible," she finally managed. "No, ma'am," Tom said, almost gentle. "This is Texas." I wish I could say I felt triumph in that moment, but mostly I just felt tired. Tired of fighting overseas, tired of coming home to a different kind of war. Roosevelt chose that exact second to amble up to the fence and give Karen's Mercedes the same flat, unimpressed stare he'd been perfecting for weeks. The bull knew before any of us did. This wasn't just about a gate anymore. What Karen never understood was that she'd picked the wrong fight with the wrong veteran. The Army taught me how to dig in, how to gather intelligence, how to turn an enemy's momentum against them. And when I started digging, really digging through 70 years of county records, I found gold. The original homestead deed, continuous tax payments on all 225 acres, including the 25 the county accidentally sold twice. Survey markers still in the ground, exactly where Grandpa placed them. And the kicker, Bradley Whitfield, Karen's husband, and the developer, had used my ranch as a selling point. Authentic Texas ranch charm, his brochures brag while his wife tried to run me off the land completely. Mrs. Rodriguez, my neighbor since before I was born, brought coffee the morning after the gate incident. She set a mug down on my kitchen table and grinned like Christmas came early. "Me, Joe," she said, "that woman just declared war on the entire county. And the county just declared war back." She was right. What followed was 6 months of beautiful, methodical karma. Karen tried everything. zoning complaints that died against grandfathered agricultural exemptions, environmental attacks that backfired when state inspectors praised our conservation practices, code enforcement visits that ended with the inspector admitting my 70-year-old barn was built stronger than anything in her subdivision. Every move she made exposed another crack in her foundation. She diverted the creek, got hit with $10,000 a day fines. She smeared my military record. Security footage proved every lie. She filed a restraining order. Professional cattle handlers kept operations running smoothly while she screamed at empty fields for the cameras. And through it all, Roosevelt stood at the fence line like a furry black judge, staring down that white Mercedes every single morning. The neighbors started bringing lawn chairs. The end came at the county hearing, packed wall-to-wall with reporters, homeowners, and half the feed store. Karen arrived late, radiating confidence she no longer had any right to feel. She brought lawyers, board members, even her husband, lurking in the back row looking for the nearest exit. My attorney, Nolan McCarthy, retired prosecutor with a voice like gravel and whiskey, laid out the evidence like a battlefield map. Original deeds, tax records, the 1987 clerical error that sold land the county never owned, the $800,000 worth of community improvements built on property that still, legally, belonged to the Stone family. Karen lasted exactly 4 minutes before she lost it completely. "This is ridiculous," she shouted, standing up so fast her chair rolled back and crashed. "We're not letting some backward rancher destroy our property values with his filthy cattle and military intimidation tactics." The room went dead silent. Commissioner Walsh didn't even raise her voice. Security, as they escorted Karen out, still screaming about conspiracies and federal investigations. The remaining board members looked like they'd aged 10 years. Jennifer Hayes, the quiet one who'd never liked Karen's tactics, stood up with shaking hands. "The Meadowbrook Community Association formally requests Mrs. Whitfield's immediate removal from all leadership positions," she said, "and authorization to negotiate a reasonable settlement with Mr. Stone." The ruling took less than 10 minutes. Clear title to all 225 acres restored to the Stone family. Every HOA lien, fine, and violation notice declared void. The illegally formed association given 90 days to dissolve and reform, if they could even manage that. Karen's husband filed bankruptcy the next week. She moved to San Antonio, and last I heard, sells handbags at a mall kiosk. 6 months later, the new community association, properly formed this time, signed a fairground lease that actually increased everyone's property values. We host joint harvest festivals now. Mrs. Rodriguez teaches tamale classes in the community kitchen. Kids pet Roosevelt like he's a celebrity, which, let's be honest, he is. And every time someone new moves in and asks about the fancy stone entrance with the little plaque that reads, "Lease from Stone Creek Ranch, EST 1952, I just smile and tell them the story. Sometimes the good guys really do win. Sometimes all it takes is one overlooked detail from 70 years ago, a bull with impeccable timing, and a veteran who learned overseas that the best defense is understanding exactly where the property lines are drawn. Welcome to Texas. If you've got your own HOA horror story, especially one where the Karen picked the wrong fight, drop in the comments. I've got coffee and time, and Roosevelt always enjoys an audience. Subscribe if you want more stories about entitled neighbors meeting Texas justice. Next week, we've got the one about the food truck owner who took down an entire corrupt city council with nothing but health department records and a viral TikTok. You won't believe how it ends. Thanks for watching. See y'all next time.